Everything changed in a matter of seconds. Or actually, it felt more like it slowly fell apart. Last season, the Philadelphia Eagles offense, a unit that was supposedly loaded with premier, absolute superstar talent, completely collapsed under the weight of its own massive expectations. You remember watching it, right? The system just completely breaking down, the timing evaporating into thin air. But while literally everyone, all the media, all the fans, were totally fixated on the sheer dysfunction on one side of the ball, something genuinely incredible was quietly happening on defense. Today, we're diving deep into the anatomy of this roster heading into an absolutely crucial offseason. Think back to last year for a second. You had this offense struggling to even find a basic rhythm. And as that offensive side of the ball spiraled further and further out of control, the defensive unit was left out there, exhausted, forced to figure out a way to somehow keep this entire team afloat.
So it begs a massive question. What actually happens when the very foundation of a championship contender starts to crack, but one man simply refuses to let the building fall? That is the exact question that defined the Eagles' defense last year. While the whole football world was hyper-fixated on the offensive failures, just watching the play-calling struggle week after week, watching the frustration mount on the sidelines, the defensive unit quietly morphed into this solitary, relentless force. In a season of chaos, the defense was the only true constant. And sitting right there, at the absolute center of that resistance, was an unsung anchor, a player who didn't just hold the line for his team, he completely defined it.
Let's dive right into Section 1. The unsung hero returns, Zack Baun.
Now, to really grasp why this guy is so absolutely crucial to what Philadelphia is trying to build, we have to look at how he even got here. Because, honestly, this is one of the most remarkable stories in modern NFL history. Just a short time ago, Zack Baun was, frankly, a total afterthought in the eyes of the broader league. He was brought into Philly on a super cheap, prove-it, one-year deal, basically just as a depth piece, someone to eat up a few snaps. But then, defensive mastermind Vic Fangio took one look at him. Fangio saw something on the tape that literally everyone else in the league completely missed, and he made the call to move Baun to inside linebacker. That one split-second schematic decision changed the entire trajectory of the season. Baun came out of absolutely nowhere, transformed into a legitimate superstar, and anchored the entire defense. And you know what? The rest of the league is definitely taking notice now. ESPN just recently released their 2026 NFL off-ball linebacker rankings. And keep in mind, this isn't some random fan poll on the internet. This list is built on the unfiltered, honest opinions of NFL executives, coaches, and scouts, the guys who are grinding film in dark rooms all night. They just ranked Zack Baun as the number 4 off-ball linebacker in the entire National Football League. I mean, just think about the company he's keeping right now. You've got Fred Warner sitting at number 1, Roquan Smith at number 2, the 23-year-old absolute phenom Carson Schwezinger at number 3, and right there at number 4, staring down the rest of the league, is Zack Baun. The executives know the truth. They saw exactly what he did when the offense was utterly struggling around him.
Just look at the sheer, undeniable volume of his impact last year. 120. That is the number of tackles Zack Baun racked up during that brutal, grueling 2025 season. You have to put that into perspective. When the offense couldn't stay on the field, when the defense was left out there totally exhausted, playing snap after snap, drive after punishing drive, Baun was the ultimate enforcer. He was an absolute machine of brutal efficiency. Hitting 120 tackles isn't just some neat statistic you read on a stat sheet, it is a profound testament to his endurance. It's a testament to an unrelenting motor in a season where, let's be honest, it would have been so incredibly easy to just give up and look forward to the offseason. But he didn't.
And the craziest part? He didn't just make tackles downfield after 5-yard gains. Zack Baun was the only player in the entire NFL last season to record at least 120 tackles and 10 disrupted dropbacks. The only one. Let that sink in for a second. That is an absurd, completely historic stat line. It showcases a level of dual-threat dominance that is almost impossible to find in today's game. He was out there violently diagnosing the run, blowing up plays in the backfield, and simultaneously terrorizing opposing quarterbacks in the passing game. The national media cycle might have ignored him for a while because the Eagles as a team were struggling, but his individual performance was an absolute masterclass in solitary dominance. At this point, a third straight elite season from him feels completely inevitable.
Moving on to Section 2, the calm before camp, the void.
Before we get into the exact reinforcements Howie Roseman needs to make, welcome to NFL Nexus. If you're enjoying this explainer, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Like this breakdown, drop a comment below with your thoughts on these free agency moves. And hey, if you really want to support elite cinematic football analysis, consider becoming a channel member. It means the world to us. All right, let's get back to the trenches.
So here is the harsh reality for Philadelphia right now. We are currently sitting in the calm before the storm. Training camp is looming large, and despite Zack Baun's Herculean effort to anchor this defense, if you look closely, the rest of the roster is basically staring into a void. The foundation remains dangerously vulnerable. You simply cannot waste a prime year of an elite top 4 linebacker because the rest of the roster is full of holes. There are glaring weaknesses out there, there are internal improvements that absolutely must be made, and they literally cannot wait until August to figure it all out. So how do you fix a cracked foundation in a matter of seconds? Because in the NFL, that's exactly what free agency is. It's a split-second scramble. It is not just about signing players to fill out a depth chart or grab headlines. It is about identifying the exact, highly calculated reinforcements needed to save an upcoming season. General Manager Howie Roseman knows these vulnerabilities better than anyone. The clock is loudly ticking toward training camp, and these 4 free agent pieces we are about to discuss aren't just depth signings. They are the critical, non-negotiable armor this team needs to survive.
Which brings us to Section 3, Fortifying the Trenches, Daniels and Graham.
We have to start in the war room, because this is where championships are actually won and lost. Fortifying the trenches. There is an immediate, non-negotiable need for Philadelphia to protect the offensive line and secure the defensive edge. If you don't have the big bodies up front to dictate the pace of the game, I promise you, nothing else matters. You can have the best linebackers and receivers in the entire world, but if the line collapses, your season ends. Period. And that brings us directly to James Daniels, the ultimate shield. Now, the Eagles did add Michael Jordan at the end of minicamp, who might slot in as the number 3 guard, but are we really going to trust the depth of a legitimate Super Bowl contender to a training camp competition between unproven names like Micah Morris, Miles Hinton, Drew Kendall, Willie Lampkin, and Holland Pierce? No way. You cannot take that kind of risk. James Daniels brings elite, proven versatility. Just look at these absolute Iron Man numbers on your screen. 1,626 career snaps at left guard, a staggering 3,437 career snaps at right guard, over 500 snaps at center. We are talking about thousands of reps of pure muscle memory. He's the ultimate insurance policy. You plug him in, and all that anxiety about interior line depth just evaporates. It's a proactive, smart move that completely cements the interior.
And then we pivot to the absolute heart and soul of this franchise, Brandon Graham, the longest tenured Eagles player in the history of the organization. But listen, this isn't just some heartwarming, feel-good legacy story. Graham is demanding clarity right now. He wants a decision made prior to his 17th season, and he has made it explicitly, undeniably clear to everyone he does not want to play half a season like he did last year. He wants to be there on day 1 of training camp. He wants to be fully integrated into the system. The emotional weight of his potential return is obviously massive for the city and the locker room, but the tactical reality of having him back, that's even heavier.
Because bringing Graham back is a deeply, deeply tactical move. Think about it. The Eagles are already relatively set on the edge with their current pass rushers. So where exactly does a 17-year veteran fit into this puzzle? The answer is inside, deploying Graham as a devastating hybrid weapon. Imagine moving him inside to defensive tackle on passing downs to absolutely terrorize opposing guards and centers. You take that relentless motor he's famous for, all that veteran savvy, and you plug it straight into the A or B gap on 3rd down. It's a brilliant chess move that adds a fascinating, terrifying layer of complexity to an already aggressive front.
Section 4, The Enforcer Outback, Donovan Wilson. Let's shift our focus to the secondary for a minute. Because while the trenches are vital, the back end is where huge, explosive plays break a team's momentum and lose games. Howie Roseman desperately needs an experienced presence in the defensive backfield. Now, whether he perfectly fits a traditional Vic Fangio defense is up for debate among the analysts, but what absolutely isn't up for debate is the desperate need for veteran aggression. Enter Donovan Wilson. Just look at the absolute impact this guy leaves on the field. This is a proven, battle-tested veteran who brings a genuinely intimidating physical presence to the box safety role. Back in 2022 with the Dallas Cowboys, he racked up 101 tackles and 5 sacks. Over the past 4 years, he's completely eclipsed 80 tackles 3 separate times. Add in 9.5 sacks and 14 quarterback hits to that resume. He doesn't just sit back and cover, he hunts. He is a homing missile aimed directly at the line of scrimmage, bringing a ruthless physical presence that makes receivers and running backs seriously think twice before daring to cross the middle of the field.
But here is the real hidden strategy going on behind closed doors. Bringing in a guy like Donovan Wilson isn't just about handing him a starting job on day 1. It is about elite roster management and psychological strategy within your own defensive room. It's about looking at guys like Marcus Epps and Andrew Mukuba and forcing them to compete at their absolute highest possible level just to survive on the 53-man roster. If you are even slightly uncomfortable with the depth behind Epps and Mukuba, you bring in a proven, intense veteran hitman like Wilson. The rookies will either step up their game to an elite level to match his intensity, or they will be replaced. It's that simple. Competition breeds champions, and this right here, this is elite tactical analysis at work.
Which leads us to Section 5, The final roster scale, the kicking duel.
Finally, we have to zoom all the way in on the absolute smallest, most agonizing detail in all of professional football. The singular motion that decides if confetti falls for you in February or if you take a long, silent walk back to the locker room. Super Bowls are won by inches, guys. They are decided by the swing of a leg in freezing, miserable temperatures. So let's look at the kicking game. On one side, you have Jake Elliott, the incumbent, the guy who has been there. But we have to be honest, it has been 2 years of ongoing, highly documented struggles, yet he remains heavily protected by a lucrative contract. Now, the long snapping situation didn't help him for sure, but the misses are on tape. On the other side, you have Brandon McManus, a 34-year-old, 12-year NFL veteran who just so happens to be a Philadelphia area native. He is hungry, he has undeniable pedigree, and it is honestly surprising that the Eagles haven't brought in this level of serious competition for Elliott yet. But we do have to ask the intense question, and it's a fair one. Does McManus actually have enough left in the tank? Because there are very clearly two faces to this veteran. In 2022, he was absolutely elite. We're talking a 95.2% accuracy rate, hitting 6 of 7 from beyond 40 yards. Automatic. But then, in 2023, the drop-off was dramatic. He struggled, dropping to 80% accuracy overall and going just 6 for 12 from 40-plus yards. It's a risk, for sure, but in the NFL, you don't find out what a guy has left by just reading his stats on a piece of paper. You find out by bringing him into camp, turning up the heat, and letting the pressure cook.
And look at his career timeline. This guy was forged in the absolute cold. He played his college ball locally at Temple, which means he already knows exactly how to handle the tricky, swirling winds of Lincoln Financial Field. Then, he spent 9 grinding years kicking in the freezing air of Mile High Stadium in Denver. And for the last 2 years, he kicked on the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. The man is hardened by the most brutal, unforgiving environments in all of football. He is quite literally built for a deep, freezing playoff run in Philadelphia. So why not bring him in? Why not give him the opportunity to push Jake Elliott to his absolute limit?
We have to remember the ultimate consequence here, because the stakes couldn't be higher. In the National Football League, history is written in the absolute margins. Championship windows do not slowly close so you can prepare for it. They shatter without warning. One bad snap, one missed block, one blown coverage assignment, one wide right field goal, and your season is over. The Eagles have a transcendent star right now in Zach Bond. They have a defense capable of carrying the weight and an offense desperate to rebound. But all that potential, it means absolutely nothing if the margins aren't totally secured.
So I'm going to leave you with this final, lingering thought. Look at the board. James Daniels holding the line, offering that ultimate insurance. Brandon Graham returning to enforce the middle and terrorize on third down. Donovan Wilson bringing a ruthless physical presence to the secondary. And Brandon McManus forcing absolute perfection from the kicking game. Surrounding a historic talent like Zach Bond with these exact battle-tested reinforcements, is this the precise formula that dictates the Eagles' ultimate destiny? Are these 4 specific pieces the exact difference between raising another Lombardi trophy in February or suffering through another forgotten, tragic season? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to NFL Nexus, and I will see you in the next breakdown.